The morning sky above New Sol Colony turned dark with alien ships. Commander Thekvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small human settlement below. His forearms moved across the control panels as his black eyes studied the target. The humans had built their colony in a valley between two mountains. It looked peaceful. Too peaceful. "How many defenders do they have?" Thekvar asked his second officer. "Our scans show maybe 200 humans total. Only 30 are soldiers," the officer replied. "Their weapons are old. Their shields are weak." Thekvar laughed. It was a harsh sound that made his throat rattle. He was 9 feet tall with gray skin like armor. Spikes ran down his back. His people, the Vorthak, had conquered 47 worlds. This would be number 48. 30 soldiers. Thekvar shook his head. "I brought 1,000 warriors for this. The generals said humans were dangerous. They said to be careful. Look at this place. It is nothing." The colony below had simple buildings made of metal and stone. Gardens grew between the structures. Children played in a schoolyard. Workers moved between the mining equipment. Everything looked normal. Everything looked weak. "Begin the attack," Thekvar ordered. The Vorthak ships opened fire. Blue energy beams hit the colony's defense shield. The shield flickered and died after just 3 hits. The humans were not even trying to fight back. "Land the troops," Thekvar said. "This will be over in 1 hour." Down in the colony, alarms were ringing. People ran in all directions. Some headed for shelters. Others tried to reach the communication center. The human soldiers took positions behind walls and equipment, but their weapons looked like toys compared to Vorthak gear. Captain Park Ji-ho stood in the colony's command center. He was a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had fought in many battles but never against aliens. He watched the enemy ships land through the window. "Sir, what are your orders?" asked Lieutenant Kim Bo-ram. She was young and scared, but trying to stay brave. Park Ji-ho looked at the screens showing Vorthak soldiers pouring out of their ships. Each alien warrior was bigger than any human. Their weapons could cut through steel. Their armor could stop bullets. "We fight," he said quietly. "We make them work for this." But Park Ji-ho knew the truth. They could not win. The best they could do was buy time for the civilians to hide. The battle lasted 20 minutes. Vorthak soldiers moved through the colony like a storm. Their weapons destroyed human defenses with ease. When humans tried to run, the aliens caught them without effort. When humans tried to hide, the aliens found them with their advanced scanners. One group of human soldiers made a stand near the power station. They had good cover and knew the area well. For a few minutes, they held the aliens back. Then a Vorthak heavy weapons team arrived. One shot from their plasma cannon ended the fight. In the medical center, Dr. Kim So-ra was helping wounded civilians. She was a small woman with quick hands and smart eyes. She had been studying on this colony for 3 years, working on projects that most people did not know about. "Doctor, we need to evacuate," said Nurse Lee Young-mai. "The aliens are almost here." Dr. Kim So-ra looked at her computer files. She had important data that could not fall into alien hands. Her fingers moved fast across the keyboard, deleting files and hiding others in secure folders. "Go," she told the nurse. "Take the patients to the underground shelter. I will follow soon." But she did not plan to follow. She had work to finish. The last human soldiers fell back to the town center. Captain Park Ji-ho led 15 men and women. In a final stand, they used the fountain and statue for cover. Their ammunition was running low. "This is it," Park Ji-ho told his people. "We have done our best. When they come, we surrender. No more dying for nothing." Corporal Lee Dong-woo nodded from behind a broken wall. He was a thin young man who looked like he had never seen a real battle. His uniform was too big for him. His face was pale and dirty. A bandage covered a cut on his forehead. The other soldiers looked defeated, but Dong-woo's eyes were different. He watched everything. He counted enemy soldiers. He studied their movements and weapons. When the other humans despaired, he learned. Thekvar's transport landed in the town center. He stepped out with his personal guard, expecting to see piles of human bodies. Instead, he found most humans still alive, hiding behind cover. "What is this?" he demanded of his officer. "Where are the casualties? Where is the glorious battle?" "Sir, the humans gave up quickly. They barely fought back." Thekvar felt cheated. He had hoped for a real fight, something to test his warriors. These humans had folded like paper. Where was their famous stubbornness? Where was their legendary refusal to quit? You. Tekvar pointed at Captain Park Ji-ho. You are their leader? Park Ji-ho stood up slowly, hands raised. I am Captain Park Ji-ho. I surrender my forces. Surrender? Tekvar laughed again. After 20 minutes? The Kresh fought us for 3 days. The Yillians lasted a week. You? Pathetic creatures cannot even die with honor. The alien commander looked around at the human soldiers. They were all small and weak-looking. Some were wounded. Others looked scared. One young soldier was leaning against a wall like he could barely stand. Is that one even a real soldier? Tekvar pointed at Corporal Lee Dongwu. He looks like he would break if I touched him. Dongwu said nothing. He kept his head down and tried to look smaller than he already was. Gather them up, Tekvar ordered his troops. Put them with the other prisoners. This conquest is complete. As the Vorthak soldiers rounded up the humans, Tekvar felt disappointed. The Galactic Council had warned him about humans. They said humans were tricky. They said humans never gave up. They said to be very careful. What a joke. These creatures were weaker than children. Dr. Kim So-ra finished her work just as alien soldiers found her. She destroyed her main computer and hid the backup data where no one would think to look. The aliens grabbed her roughly and pushed her toward the detention area. The humans were herded into the colony's meeting hall. Men, women, and children sat on the floor while Vorthak guards watched them. The aliens found the humans amusing. Such small, fragile beings. Such weak resistance. Captain Park Ji-ho sat with his remaining soldiers. He looked at each face, counting his people. Most had survived. That was something, at least. Corporal Lee Dong-woo sat in the corner, still looking injured and tired. The other soldiers did not pay him much attention. He seemed like the least important person in the room. But if anyone had watched carefully, they might have noticed something strange. While the other humans looked defeated, Dong-woo's eyes never stopped moving. He studied every alien guard. He counted their weapons. He memorized their patrol patterns. He looked weak, but he was learning everything. Tekvar entered the hall to inspect his new prisoners. He wanted to see these famous humans up close. His eyes fell on the group of soldiers sitting together. So, these are the mighty human warriors, he said loudly. Look at them. They cannot even sit up straight. He walked over to Dongwu, who was leaning against the wall with his eyes closed. This one is already asleep, Tekvar said. Hey, small human, wake up. Dongwu opened his eyes slowly and looked up at the alien commander. He did not speak. What is your name? Tekvar demanded. Corporal Lee Dongwu, the young man replied, quietly. Corporal? You are a soldier? Tekvar laughed so hard his spikes rattled. You look like you have never held a weapon in your life. Dongwu said nothing. He just stared at the floor. This is what the galaxy fears? Tekvar asked his guards. This is the species that conquered their own star system? I have seen stronger creatures in my garden. The conquest was complete. The humans were captured. The colony belonged to the Vorthak Empire now. But something was wrong, though Tekvar did not know it yet. Something important was hidden in that room full of defeated humans. Something that would change everything. The weak-looking soldier in the corner was not what he seemed. And soon, the aliens would learn a terrible lesson about judging humans by their appearance. 3 days passed since the conquest. Commander Tekvar had turned the colony's main building into his headquarters. Vorthak soldiers patrolled the streets. Human prisoners were put to work, cleaning up battle damage and serving their new masters. Tekvar was bored. He had expected humans to be more interesting. Instead, they were quiet and obedient. They did what they were told without complaint. Where was the fighting spirit he had heard about? The alien commander sat in what used to be the human mayor's office. Through the window, he watched human workers carrying supplies. They moved slowly like they were tired all the time. Sir, said Officer Graktor, entering the room, we have finished processing all prisoners. 203 humans total. No weapons found in their possession. Good, Tekvar said. What about their military personnel? 31 soldiers, including their captain. Most are injured, or weak. They pose no threat. Tekvar nodded. Bring me their weakest soldier. I want to see how pathetic these humans really are. 10 minutes later, 2 Vorthak guards dragged Corporal Lee Dongwu into the office. The young human looked even smaller between the massive aliens. His bandage was dirty now. His uniform hung loose on his thin frame. "This one?" Graktor asked. "He can barely walk without help." Thekvar studied the human carefully. Dongwu kept his eyes down, breathing hard like the short walk had tired him out. "What is wrong with you, human?" Thekvar asked. "Nothing, sir," Dongwu replied quietly. "Nothing? You look half dead. Are you sick?" "Just tired, sir," Thekvar laughed. "Tired? From what? You did not even fight during the battle. What could make a soldier so weak?" Dongwu did not answer. He swayed slightly on his feet. "I have decided," Thekvar announced. "You will be my personal servant. I want to see what humans are capable of, or not capable of." The guards pushed Dongwu forward. He stumbled and caught himself on the desk. "Your first job," Thekvar said, "is to carry supplies to the landing pad. My ship needs to be restocked." "Yes, sir," Dongwu said. Thekvar led the way outside. Several Vorthak soldiers followed, curious to see their commander's new entertainment. Word spread quickly. Soon a crowd gathered to watch the weak human struggle. At the supply depot, Thekvar pointed to a metal crate. "Carry that to my ship." Dongwu looked at the crate. It was as big as he was and probably weighed 200 pounds. He walked over and tried to lift it. The crate barely moved. The Vorthak soldiers laughed. Their voices sounded like grinding. "Metal! Try harder, little human," one guard called out. Dongwu wrapped his arms around the crate and pulled. His face turned red with effort. He managed to lift one corner a few inches before setting it down again. "Pathetic," Thekvar said. "A Vorthak child could carry 10 of those. Are all humans this weak?" "I can do it," Dongwu said. "Just need to rest a moment." More aliens gathered to watch. They pointed and made jokes about human strength. Some started betting on whether the small soldier could move the crate at all. Dongwu tried again. This time he got the crate off the ground for 3 seconds before his arms gave out. He fell backward, breathing hard. "Enough," Thekvar said. "This is boring. Get 2 humans to help him." "No," Dongwu said quickly. "I can do it myself. Please." "You cannot even lift it." "I can. I just need practice." Thekvar found this amusing. "Practice? Fine. You have 1 hour to move that crate to my ship. If you fail, no food for you today." The alien commander walked away, leaving Dongwu alone with the crate and a circle of laughing guards. Dr. Kim Sora watched from her work area near the medical center. She was supposed to be sorting medical supplies, but she kept glancing at the scene by the supply depot. Other human prisoners watched too, their faces showing concern for their fellow soldier. "Why is he trying so hard?" whispered Nurse Lee Young-mi. "He should just ask for help." Dr. Kim Sora said nothing, but her eyes stayed on Dongwu. Something about the young soldier bothered her. Something she could not quite understand. Back at the depot, Dongwu was making his 3rd attempt. He had found a metal pole to use as a lever. Slowly, inch by inch, he managed to slide the crate toward the landing pad. The Vorthak guards grew tired of watching and wandered away. Only 2 remained to make sure he did not escape. Dongwu worked for the full hour. Sweat covered his face. His hands were bleeding from the rough metal. But he moved the crate 50 feet closer to the ship. When Thekvar returned, he found Dongwu sitting next to the crate, exhausted. "Well?" the commander asked. "Almost there," Dongwu panted. "Need a few more minutes. Time is up. You failed. Please, sir. I can finish." Thekvar looked at the distance remaining, maybe 20 feet. "Fine. You have impressed me with your stubbornness, if not your strength. But tomorrow, you will do harder work." The next morning, Thekvar gave Dongwu a new task. He had to clean the alien ship's cargo bay. It was dirty work that required crawling into small spaces and scrubbing with harsh chemicals. "When you finish," Thekvar said, "you will polish all the weapons in the armory." Dongwu nodded and got to work. Several aliens watched him struggle to reach the high corners of the cargo bay. His thin arms could barely hold the heavy cleaning tools. "Look at him," laughed Guard Captain Velthak. "He moves like an old man." "Humans age quickly," another guard said. "This one is probably near death already." Thekvar studied Dongwu more, carefully. The human soldier was young, maybe 25 years old, but he moved like his body hurt all the time. His breathing was often labored. Sometimes he had to stop working just to rest. "Human," Thekvar called out. "Come here." Dongwu climbed down from the cargo bay and approached the commander. "How old are you?" Thekvar asked. 24, sir? 24? You move like you are ancient. Are all human soldiers this frail?" "I was injured before," Dongwu said. "Still recovering." "Injured how?" Dongwu hesitated. "Training accident?" "Sir, fell down some stairs." The Vorthak guards burst into laughter. Even their mighty commander smiled. "Stairs?" Velthak repeated. "Human soldiers are injured by stairs?" "It was a long fall," Dongwu said quietly. "How embarrassing," Thekvar said. "I have conquered species across the galaxy. The Kresh warriors fight with their bare hands and never retreat. The Yillian defenders died rather than surrender, and humans are defeated by architectural features." Word of the stair incident spread through the alien ranks. By evening, every Vorthak soldier in the colony knew about the clumsy human who fell downstairs. It became a running joke. When Dongwu brought Thekvar his evening meal, the commander was in a good mood. "Sit," Thekvar ordered, pointing to the floor. Dongwu sat down carefully, wincing as if his back hurt. "Tell me about human military training," Thekvar said. "If stairs can injure your soldiers, how do you prepare for real combat?" "We do exercises," Dongwu replied. "Running, lifting weights, target practice." "What kind of weights?" "Heavy ones." "How heavy?" Dongwu thought for a moment. "Maybe 50 pounds. Thekvar nearly choked on his food. 50 pounds? My ceremonial sword weighs more than that. Vorthak children train with weights heavier than your soldiers." "We are not as strong as your people," Dongwu admitted. "Clearly. No wonder your species is always conquered. You are built for failure." Dr. Kim Sora was walking past the headquarters when she heard loud laughter from inside. Through the window, she could see Dongwu sitting on the floor while Thekvar mocked him. She wanted to help, but there was nothing she could do. Any interference would only make things worse for the young soldier. Instead, she went back to her assigned quarters and opened her hidden computer files. She had been studying the colony's personnel records, trying to understand why the aliens had targeted this particular settlement. Most of the information was routine: mining reports, population data, supply requests. But one file caught her attention. It was Dongwu's military record. She opened it and began reading. What she found made her heart race. This was impossible. According to his file, Corporal Li Dongwu was not some weak, clumsy soldier. He was a decorated veteran with an incredible service record. He had fought in battles across 3 star systems. His fitness scores were off the charts. His combat ratings were among the highest in the human military, but the man she had seen today could barely lift a supply crate. Dr. Kim Sora read the file again, checking the details. Same name, same face in the photo, same service number. There was no mistake. Either the file was wrong or Corporal Li Dongwu was not what he seemed. She closed the computer and sat in the dark, thinking. If Dongwu was pretending to be weak, why? What was his plan? Outside her window, she could hear Vorthak guards laughing about something. Probably more jokes about the clumsy human soldier who fell downstairs. But Dr. Kim So-ra was no longer. Sure, those jokes were funny. Something was happening here. Something the aliens did not understand. And tomorrow, she would try to figure out what Corporal Li Dongwu was really up to. Dr. Kim So-ra could not sleep. She kept thinking about Dongwu's file and what it meant. When morning came, she decided to investigate further. Her job was to help in the alien medical bay. The Vorthak had some injured soldiers from their conquest of other worlds. Dr. Kim So-ra was useful because she understood both human and alien biology. But today she had other plans. "I need to check the colony's medical records," she told the Vorthak medical officer. "Some humans might have diseases that could spread to your people." The alien nodded. Disease was something they all feared. "Be quick about it." Dr. Kim So-ra went to the medical center's computer room. She sat down at her old workstation and started searching through files. She needed to learn more about Dongwu without raising suspicion. First, she found his basic medical records. Height, 5 feet 8 inches. Weight, 140 pounds. Nothing unusual there. He was small for a soldier, but not unusually so. Then she found his physical therapy records. Her eyes widened as she read them. Dongwu had been in physical therapy for the past 6 months, but not because he was weak or injured. He was learning to control his strength. The files showed test results that seemed impossible. Dongwu could lift over 400 pounds. He could run a mile in under 5 minutes. His reflexes were 3 times faster than normal humans. But why was he hiding this? Dr. Kim So-ra kept reading. She found psychological evaluation reports. The doctor said Dongwu had trouble fitting in with normal society. He was too strong, too fast, too intense. Regular people were afraid of him. More files revealed the truth. Dongwu was part of a secret military program. He had volunteered for experimental treatments that made him stronger and faster. The program was designed to create super soldiers, but the treatments came with a cost. Dongwu's body was under constant stress. He needed special medicine to stay healthy. Without it, he would look sick and weak. Dr. Kim So-ra realized what was happening. Dongwu was off his medicine. He was letting his body appear weak while he studied the aliens. It was an act. She heard footsteps in the hallway and quickly closed the files. A Vorthak guard entered the room. "What are you doing?" the guard asked. "Checking for diseases," she replied calmly. "I found 3 humans who might be contagious. We should keep them separated." The guard nodded and left. Dr. Kim So-ra waited. A few minutes, then continued her search. She found more information about the colony itself. New Seoul was not just a mining settlement. It was a research base where humans studied extreme environments. They tested how people could survive in harsh conditions. The colony had been chosen because the planet was difficult to live on. High gravity, dangerous radiation, extreme temperatures. Only the strongest humans could work there for long periods. Dr. Kim So-ra began to understand. Everyone on this colony was tougher than average humans. The aliens had conquered what they thought was a weak settlement, but it was actually full of humanity's most resilient people, and Dongwu was the strongest of them all. Meanwhile, Commander Thekvar was enjoying his morning entertainment. He had given Dongwu a new task, polishing the weapons in the armory. "Make sure every weapon shines," Thekvar ordered. "I want to see my reflection in each blade." Dongwu nodded and picked up a cleaning cloth. The armory was full of Vorthak weapons that were designed for their larger size and greater strength. Each weapon was heavy and awkward for human hands. Several alien soldiers gathered to watch Dongwu struggle with a plasma rifle that was almost as big as he was. "Careful, human," laughed Guard Captain Velthak. "Do not drop it on your foot. It might break your bones." Dongwu pretended to struggle with the weapon's weight. He moved slowly and carefully, as if afraid it might slip from his grasp. "How do you humans fight wars with such weak bodies?" asked another guard. "We use smaller weapons," Dongwu replied quietly. "Show me," Thekvar said. He pulled out a human pistol taken from the colony's armory. "This is your weapon?" Dongwu nodded. "It is tiny, like a toy." Thekvar handed him the pistol. "Show me how humans hold weapons." Dongwu took the pistol with both hands, pretending it was heavy for him. He aimed it awkwardly at the wall. The aliens laughed harder. "2 hands for such a small weapon?" Velthak asked. "Vorthak children use bigger guns with 1 finger." "We do our best," Dongwu said. Thekvar took the pistol back and studied it. "What is the range of this weapon?" "Maybe 50 meters, Dongwu answered. 50 meters? Our sidearms can hit targets at 300 meters. How do you expect to win battles with such limited range?" "We get closer to the enemy." "Closer? That seems dangerous for such fragile beings." Dongwu shrugged. "We are good at hiding." This made the aliens laugh even more. The idea of humans sneaking around like scared animals amused them greatly. While they were laughing, Dongwu was memorizing everything about their weapons. He noted how they were loaded, how they were activated, what their weak points might be. His eyes recorded details that would be useful later. "Tell me about human military tactics," Thekvar said. "How do you plan battles?" "We try to avoid fighting," Dongwu replied. "We prefer to run away." "Run away? What kind of soldiers run away?" Smart ones. Thekvar found this answer particularly amusing. Smart? You call cowardice smart? Sometimes, Dongwu said simply. Give me an example. Dongwu pretended to think hard. If the enemy is stronger than you, running away means you live to fight another day. But if you always run away, you never win. Sometimes you do not need to win. Sometimes you just need to survive. The alien commander shook his head. This is why humans are conquered so easily. You have no warrior spirit. You think like prey, animals, instead of predators. Dongwu said nothing, but inside, he was learning valuable information about Vorthak psychology. They valued direct confrontation over strategy. They saw retreat as weakness rather than tactics. This would be useful knowledge. Dr. Kim So-ra found more files that painted a clearer picture. Dongwu had not been assigned to this colony by accident. He had volunteered for this mission specifically. The file showed his real assignment: deep, intelligence gathering. He was supposed to study any alien species that attacked the colony. His job was to learn their weaknesses and report back to Earth. But there was a problem. The communication array had been destroyed in the first attack. Dongwu could not send reports to Earth. He was on his own. Dr. Kim So-ra realized that Dongwu was playing a dangerous game. He was pretending to be weak while gathering intelligence about their captors. But if the aliens discovered his true nature, they would kill him immediately. She found one more file that made her nervous. It was a medical warning about Dongwu's condition. Without his special medicine, his enhanced body would start breaking down. He could maintain the appearance of weakness for maybe 2 weeks before his health actually declined. How long had it been since the attack? 3 days. That meant Dongwu had 11 days left before his act became reality. In the armory, Thekvar was growing bored with his human servant. Dongwu had cleaned half the weapons, moving slowly and carefully. The alien commander wanted more entertainment. Human, he called. Come here! Dongwu set down his cleaning cloth and approached. I want to test something, Thekvar said. My soldiers say humans break easily. Is this true? I do not understand, Dongwu replied. Can you do 10 push-ups? Dongwu looked confused. Push-ups? You know, the exercise where you lift your body weight with your arms. Oh, yes, I can try. Dongwu got down on the floor and attempted a push-up. He managed to lift himself halfway before his arms shook and he collapsed. The Vorthak soldiers laughed and made bets on whether he could do even one complete push-up. On his second attempt, Dongwu managed one full push-up before falling down again, breathing hard. Pathetic, Thekvar said. My offspring can do 50 push-ups before breakfast, and they are only 6 years old. We are not built for strength, Dongwu gasped. What are you built for? Dongwu pretended to think. Thinking, maybe. Thinking? What good is thinking in a fight? It helps you avoid fights. Thekvar kicked the floor in frustration. There it is again. Avoidance? Cowardice? How did your species ever leave your home planet with such attitudes? Very carefully, Dongwu replied. This answer made even Thekvar smile. Despite their weakness, humans seemed to have a sense of humor. But the alien commander was getting an idea. If humans were so weak and cowardly, why had the Galactic Council warned him about them? What was he missing? Dr. Kim So-ra finished her research and returned to her medical duties. She now understood what Dongwu was doing, but she did not know how to help him without revealing his secret. She decided to find a way to give him his medicine without the aliens noticing. If she could keep his health stable, he could continue his mission. But first, she needed to figure out where the medicine was stored, and she needed to do it without raising suspicion. The game was getting more dangerous every day. Dongwu was walking a tightrope between appearing weak and gathering vital intelligence. Dr. Kim So-ra was trying to help without exposing them, both. And Commander Thekvar was starting to ask questions that could get them all killed. 1 week had passed since the conquest. Commander Thekvar was growing restless. Reports from other Vorthak fleets described fierce battles across the galaxy. Some species fought for months before surrendering. Others died rather than submit. But here on this small colony, nothing interesting ever happened. The humans worked quietly and caused no trouble. It was almost insulting. Thekvar decided to push his human servant harder. Maybe he could provoke some kind of reaction. "Today you will move supplies to the communication tower," he told Dongwu. "Alone." Dongwu nodded weakly. "Yes, sir. The crates weigh 300 pounds each. You will move 10 of them." "That might take all day," Dongwu said. "Then you will work all day, without breaks." Dr. Kim Sora watched from nearby. She had been trying to find Dongwu's medicine for 3 days but had no luck. The aliens had destroyed most of the medical supplies during their search for weapons. She could see that Dongwu was getting weaker. His act was becoming more real each day. Soon he would not need to pretend anymore. Dongwu began his task. The first crate was full of electronic equipment. He wrapped his arms around it and lifted with his legs, just like any normal human would do. The crate barely moved. Vorthak guards gathered to watch their daily entertainment. Bets were made on how many crates the weak human could move before collapsing. "This is sad," said Guard Captain Velthak. "Should we help him?" "No," Thekvar replied. "I want to see how long it takes him to admit defeat." But Dongwu did not give up. He found a wheeled cart and managed to load the first crate onto it. Then he pushed the cart slowly toward the communication tower. The aliens followed, making jokes about human determination and stubbornness. Halfway to the tower, disaster struck. The cart hit a rock and tipped over. The heavy crate crashed to the ground, and the impact broke the cart's wheel. Dongwu stared at the broken cart and heavy crate. He was breathing hard and sweating. His thin body shook with exhaustion. "Give up now," Thekvar suggested. "This is clearly beyond your abilities." Dongwu looked at the alien commander. For just a moment, something flickered in his eyes, something that was not weakness or fear. "No," he said quietly. "I can do this." "How?" "The cart is broken. You cannot lift the crate. I will find a way." Thekvar was curious now. He had seen that look before, in the eyes of real warriors. But surely this weak human could not be a fighter. Dongwu began dragging the crate across the ground. It was slow, brutal work. The rough surface tore at his hands. His back screamed in pain, but he kept going. The aliens stopped laughing. There was something unsettling about watching this small human refuse to quit. His body was clearly failing, but his will remained unbroken. "Interesting," Thekvar murmured. After 2 hours, Dongwu had moved the crate 20 feet. His hands were bleeding. His uniform was soaked with sweat. But he had not stopped. "Human," Thekvar called. "Rest for a moment." Dongwu stopped dragging and looked up. "Why?" "Because I am curious about something. You are clearly suffering. Why do you not ask for help? You told me to do this alone, but you could ask. I might say yes." Dongwu wiped blood from his hands on his uniform. "Would you say yes?" Thekvar considered this. "Probably not." "Then why would I ask?" This answer surprised the alien commander. It was logical, but also showed a kind of stubborn pride that he had not expected from such a weak creature. "Tell me," Thekvar said, "what drives you to continue? You are clearly not strong enough for this task." Dongwu sat on the ground, breathing hard. "In human military training, we learn that strength is not just about muscles. What else is there? Will, determination, refusing to quit even when everything hurts." Thekvar found this concept fascinating. But what is the point of will without strength to back it up? Sometimes will is enough. Sometimes it is all you have. The alien commander studied Dongwu more carefully. The human's body was weak, but his attitude was different from the other prisoners. There was steel beneath the fragile surface. "Continue your work," Thekvar ordered. "I want to see how far we can take you." Dongwu got back to his feet and resumed dragging the crate. Each step was agony, but he did not stop. Dr. Kim Sora could not watch anymore. She had found something that might help Dongwu, but using it was risky. In the ruins of the medical center, she had discovered a hidden emergency supply kit. Inside were stimulants that could temporarily boost human strength and endurance. They were meant for life or death situations. This qualified. She mixed the stimulants into a bottle of water and approached the work area. "Commander," she called to Thekvar, "may I give the worker some water? He looks dehydrated." Thekvar considered this. "Very well." But only water. No food. Dr. Kim So-ra handed the bottle to Dong-woo. "Drink this slowly," she whispered. Dong-woo drank gratefully. Within minutes, the stimulants began working. His strength returned partially, and his hands stopped shaking. But the effect would not last long, and using stimulants repeatedly was dangerous. With his temporary boost, Dong-woo managed to drag the crate the remaining distance to the communication tower. The aliens were impressed, despite themselves. "Remarkable," said Velthak. "I did not think he could finish." "Neither did I," Tekvar admitted. "Bring him back tomorrow. I want to see what other impossible tasks he can accomplish." That evening, Dong-woo collapsed in his quarters. The stimulants had worn off, leaving him weaker than before. Dr. Kim So-ra checked on him secretly. "You cannot keep this up," she whispered. "Your body is breaking down." "I know," he replied quietly. "But I am learning things about them. Important things." "What kind of things?" "They value strength above everything else. They do not understand strategy or patience. They think direct confrontation is the only way to fight." "How does that help us?" Dong-woo smiled weakly. "Because humans are good at things they do not understand. We are good at waiting. We are good at planning. We are good at surviving when others think we should be dead." Dr. Kim So-ra realized that Dong-woo was not just gathering intelligence. He was preparing for something bigger. "What are you planning?" she asked. "When the time comes, you will know. But I need you to do something for me." "What?" "Find Captain Park Ji-ho. Tell him to be ready. Tell the other soldiers to watch for my signal." "What signal?" "When I stop acting weak, they will know it is time." Dr. Kim So-ra left with more questions than answers, but she could see that Dong-woo had a plan, even if she did not understand it yet. The next morning brought new challenges. Tekvar had decided to test human endurance more thoroughly. "Today you will carry messages between all guard posts," he told Dong-woo. "The route is 5 miles long. You will make 3 complete circuits." 15 miles? Dong-woo asked. "Too much for you?" "No, sir, I can do it." But this time, Tekvar had a surprise. "You will also carry this." He handed Dong-woo a heavy metal pack. "It contains important communications equipment. Do not drop it." The pack weighed at least 60 pounds. Added to Dong-woo's apparent weakness, it should have been impossible to carry. Dong-woo strapped on the pack and nearly fell over. The weight was enormous for his supposedly frail body. "On second thought," Tekvar said, "this might be too much. Perhaps I should give this task to a stronger human." "No," Dong-woo said quickly. "I can do it." "Are you certain?" "Yes, sir." Dong-woo began walking toward the first guard post. Each step was a struggle. The pack dug into his shoulders. His legs shook under the weight, but he had made a mistake. The effort of hiding his true strength while carrying the heavy pack was too much. His control began to slip. Halfway to the first guard post, Dong-woo's body betrayed him. Without thinking, he adjusted the pack with one hand while continuing to walk normally. The movement was too smooth, too easy for someone who should have been struggling. Tekvar saw it. The alien commander's eyes narrowed. He had watched enough truly weak creatures to know what struggle looked like. That movement was not the action of a frail human. "Stop," Tekvar ordered. Dong-woo froze. "Turn around slowly." Dong-woo turned to face the alien commander. For the first time in a week, he could not completely hide what he was. His eyes showed alertness instead of confusion. His stance showed balance instead of weakness. "Interesting," Tekvar said. "Very interesting indeed." The game was about to change, and both sides knew it. The moment stretched like a held breath. Commander Tekvar stared at Dong-woo, and Dong-woo stared back. Neither moved. "Take off the pack," Tekvar ordered quietly. Dong-woo hesitated. His mind raced through options. Continue the act? It was. Probably too late. Fight now? Too many guards around. Run? That would only confirm suspicions. "Sir," he said, trying to sound confused. "The pack. Remove it. Now." Dong-woo slowly unstrapped the heavy pack and set it on the ground. Without its weight, he stood straighter than he had in days. It was a small change, but Tekvar noticed everything. "Walk to that tree!" the alien commander said, pointing to a spot 50 meters away. Yes, sir. Dongwu began walking. He tried to maintain his weak posture, but the pack had been holding him down. Now he moved too smoothly, too balanced. Stop. Tekvar's voice was sharp. Come back here. Dongwu returned, his heart pounding. The game was over, but maybe that was not entirely bad. He was tired of pretending to be weak. Guard Captain Veltak, Tekvar called. Join me. The massive alien soldier approached. Yes, Commander? I want you to grab this human's arm, gently, as if you were helping him stand. Veltak looked confused, but followed orders. He reached out with one of his forearms and grasped Dongwu's forearm. What happened next surprised everyone. Veltak's grip was strong enough to crush human bones, but gentle as instructed. However, when he tried to lift Dongwu, he met unexpected resistance. The human's arm was like steel cable wrapped in flesh. Harder, Tekvar ordered. Veltak increased his grip. Dongwu did not flinch or cry out. His arm remained steady against the alien's strength. Much harder. Veltak applied enough force to bend metal. Dongwu's expression changed. For the first time in days, his eyes showed their true nature. Cold, alert, dangerous. The weak, confused soldier was gone. In his place stood something else entirely. Release him, Tekvar said. Veltak let go and stepped back, looking at his hand in confusion. Commander, that human's arm, it felt like grabbing a machine. Tekvar circled Dongwu slowly. Who are you? Corporal Lee Dongwu, sir. No. Who are you, really? Dongwu considered his options. The charade was finished. Now came the dangerous part. I am exactly who I said I was, he replied. But perhaps not what I appeared to be. Explain. Humans are good at hiding things, even from themselves. Tekvar stopped circling. You have been pretending to be weak. Yes. Why? Because you expected me to be weak. It seemed easier to meet your expectations. The alien commander felt a chill run down his spine. If this human had been acting, what else had the humans been hiding? How long have you been lying? Since you captured us. What else have you lied about? Dongwu smiled. It was not a nice smile. Many things. Tekvar backed away slightly. Something was very wrong here. Guards, surround this human. 6 Vorthak soldiers moved to form a circle around Dongwu. Each was twice his size and armed with energy weapons. Tell me the truth, Tekvar demanded. What are you? I am a human soldier, Dongwu replied calmly. Nothing more, nothing less. Impossible. Human soldiers are weak. I have seen them fight. You have seen them surrender. That is different. The distinction made Tekvar nervous. All human military forces are pathetic. The Galactic database confirms this. Does it? Dongwu asked. Or does it confirm what humans wanted you to believe? Before Tekvar could respond, alarms began blaring across the colony. Emergency lights flashed red. The communications center erupted in activity. Commander! An officer ran toward them. We have a problem! Large human fleet approaching the system. Tekvar spun around. What? How many ships? 50. Maybe more. They appeared from nowhere. Impossible. Humans do not have faster-than-light technology that advanced. Dongwu chuckled. We do now. The alien commander turned back to his prisoner. You knew about this. I hoped for it. The colony had no communication array. How did you contact them? We did not need to. Explain. Dongwu looked up at the sky, where distant lights were growing, brighter. This colony was never about mining. It was bait. The words hit Tekvar like a physical blow. Bait? Humans have been watching the Vorthak Empire for months. We knew you targeted isolated colonies first, so we built one that looked perfect. For conquest. Weak defenses, valuable resources, minimal population. But the people here are real. You sacrificed your own citizens? We sacrificed nothing. Everyone here volunteered. Every person on this colony is military personnel in disguise. Tekvar looked around wildly. The frightened civilians he had been guarding for a week, the weak medical staff, the helpless workers. All of them were soldiers. Dr. Kim So-ra, Dongwu continued, is not just a doctor. She is a military intelligence analyst. Nurse Lee Youngmi is a demolitions expert, the elderly man who cleans your quarters. He commanded a starship for 20 years. More alarms sounded. Reports flooded in from orbit. "Commander!" another officer shouted. "The human ships are not responding to our hails. They are taking attack positions." Thekvar grabbed his communication device. "All ships, prepare for battle. Launch fighters immediately." But his fleet was not ready. They had expected easy occupation duty, not a space battle. "It will not matter," Dongwu said quietly. "Why not? Because while you were laughing at weak humans, we were studying your technology. Every weapon you showed me, every ship specification you discussed, every tactical weakness you revealed when you thought I was too stupid to understand." The first explosions lit up the sky as human and Vorthak ships engaged in orbit. "Guards!" Thekvar screamed. "Kill this human now!" The 6 soldiers raised their weapons. But before they could fire, something extraordinary happened. Every human in the area moved at once. Captain Park Ji-ho, who had been quietly sweeping floors nearby, suddenly had a Vorthak sidearm in his hands. He disabled 2 guards before they knew what happened. Dr. Kim So-ra threw aside her medical supplies and pulled weapons from hidden compartments in her equipment. Other civilians revealed themselves as the elite soldiers they had always been. The Vorthak guards found themselves outnumbered and outgunned in seconds. "Impossible," Thekvar whispered. Dongwu stepped forward. As he moved, his whole body seemed to change. His posture straightened. His movements became fluid and precise. The weak, injured soldier vanished completely. "Not impossible," he said. "Just improbable. Humans specialize in improbable things." Thekvar raised his own weapon, but Dongwu was already moving. The human soldier crossed the distance between them faster than the alien's enhanced reflexes could follow. One moment, Thekvar was armed. The next, his weapon was in Dongwu's hands. "How?" the alien commander gasped. "Enhanced human soldier," Dongwu explained. "Experimental program. We wanted to see what humans could become if we tried to match alien physical capabilities." "But you moved like you were injured. Weak. Dying." "I was dying. The enhancements require constant medical support. I have been slowly poisoning myself to maintain the illusion of weakness." Thekvar looked around at the humans who had fooled him so completely. "Why? Why go to such lengths?" "Because the Vorthak Empire was becoming a threat to human space. We needed to understand your tactics, your technology, your psychology. The best way to study an enemy is to let them think they have won." More explosions overhead. The battle was turning against the Vorthak fleet. "Your ships will not escape," Dongwu continued. "We have been studying your technology for a week. Our engineers know exactly how to disable your shields and engines." A new voice spoke from behind them. "The orbital battle is concluded. All Vorthak ships are disabled or destroyed." Thekvar turned to see who had spoken. It was the elderly janitor who had been cleaning alien quarters, but now he wore the insignia of a human admiral. "Admiral Hong Seok-jin, Earth Defense Force." The man introduced himself. "Thank you for the excellent intelligence, Corporal Lee." "My pleasure, sir," Dongwu replied. Thekvar slumped in defeat. "We never had a chance, did we?" "No," Admiral Hong replied honestly. "But you taught us valuable lessons about Vorthak military doctrine. That knowledge will save human lives in future conflicts." "Future conflicts?" Dongwu smiled grimly. "Did you think this would end here? You invaded human space. You attacked human citizens. Now you will learn why the galaxy should fear humanity. But humans are weak. Are we?" Admiral Hong asked. "You conquered this colony in 20 minutes. How long did it take us to turn your victory into defeat?" Thekvar had no answer. Over the following hours, the truth became clear. The entire conquest had been orchestrated. The weak resistance, the easy surrender, the pathetic human soldiers. All of it had been theater designed to make the Vorthak overconfident. While Thekvar had been mocking human weakness, Dongwu had been memorizing Vorthak technology and tactics. While the aliens celebrated their easy victory, human intelligence. Officers had been gathering data on everything from ship designs to military procedures. The mining colony transmitted detailed information about Vorthak capabilities to the human fleet hiding just outside the system. When the battle came, It was not even close. How many other colonies like this have you built? Thekvar asked during his final interrogation. Classified, Admiral Hong replied. But I will say this, the Vorthak Empire attacked 17 human settlements in the past year. Guess how many were real colonies? The alien commander felt sick,